purification. All the evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and folly, born of my body, mouth, and thought, I now confess and purify them all.
Mumonkan, case 13. Toksan holds his balls. One day, Toksan went down toward the dining room, holding his balls. Seppo met him and asked, "Where are you off to with your balls? The bell has not rung, and the drum has not sounded." Toksan turned and went back to his room. はい。So last week we had 6 days session, and came back on Thursday evening. And today is Saturday. Zazenkai. And I feel as if this is the continuation of the session. Even though many of you have been sitting with us, with regard Zen koan, you may think quite sort of exotic, difficult for you to comprehend. As long as you may search to understand these wonderful teachings through your brain, most likely you may fail. If, on the other hand, if you ask some fundamental question. Why have you started to do Zen training? This is not the compulsory. And all of you, I assume, when you are born, you are not a Buddhist, went to church or synagogue, or non-Buddhist temples. But at one point, I guess your inner voice you heard, inner voice was screaming, saying that I need training, not only intellectual and conceptual understanding of the teaching. And through mysterious, really uncanny encounter with a Zen group or Zen people, you began to sit. Still, not yet clear why, but somehow your body and heart ask you to sit. At the same time, whether you were born in this country or came from foreign countries, as long as we live in America in the 21st century, we can't help but to think something which everybody knows, that is, health, a healthy body is better than sickness. The poverty is somehow we would like to avoid. Loneliness is one of the enemies. And I assume all of you are keenly aware what we hope to, and also everybody knows someday we have to say goodbye to this world. This is the reality. One kind of reality. And there's another reality, as Nampo Shomyo Zenji said, there is a reality even prior to heaven and earth. Indeed, it has no form, much less a name. That much less a name means no name or so many names for that one. For example, we say fundamental reality, quintessential nature of Buddha Dharma, your true self. The true man without rank. Three pounds of flax and many others. And when it comes to this point, you may think, what are you talking about? I came to seek for spiritual contentment. In exchange with sleepiness and pain, I sacrificed today's other activity but came here. What are you really talking about? So one of the answer for this is today's let me read once again. One day, Tok-san went down toward the dining room, holding his jihatsu balls. Seppo met him and asked, "Where do you off to with your balls? The bell has not rung. The drum has not sounded." Toku-san turned and went back to his room. This about Toku-san turned and went back to his room. This is the expression of maturity, and this is the essence of Zen. So to clarify that point even more, I'm going to read from the book of Rinzai, ascending the high seat. Master Rinzai said, "From your lump of red flesh, there is a true person without rank, who is always going out and coming in through the face. If you have not yet testified to this, look, look." Then a monk came forward and asked, "What about the true person without a rank?" The Master Rinzai got down from his seat, grabbed him, and said, "Say, say." The monk was going to say something, whereupon the master pushed him away and said, "The true person without rank, what a piece of shit." Then the master returned to his quarters. I love this. For Master Rinzai, he did not use the expression of mu. He rather shouted. There's no other way to express this unspeakable reality. So he shouted. But today, he said, "From your lump of red flesh, there is a true person without rank, who is always going out and coming in through the face. If you have not yet testified to this, look, look." We can hear the sound of traffic because we have the eardrum. We could smell the incense through our nostrils. We were able to taste the food through our mouth. We were able to see each other because of the fact that we are not physically blind. We are able to exhale and inhale we are able to circulate our chi movement. So what we might think that each one of you are separated entity, separated individuality, rather than already united, a part of this great world or universe, you may say. And if you have not yet testified, rock, rock, and this is exactly what we are sitting for. In the Song of Zazen, there's a sentence that goes, to testify the truth that self-nature is no nature. Or to say another way, to testify the truth that no nature is the true nature. We have gone beyond foolish talk. But because of the culture, because of education which you receive, self-nature or ego entity is very, very extremely important. This is a disease of modern world. Ancient days, which I don't remember, is not as the war between self and non-self was not as thick, not as high as it is now. Now, thick, high. And therefore, alienation, loneliness naturally comes, and separation from, even from the nature comes. And even from the separation from your own breath, your own movement, circulation of qi. Even qi, some of you may think that it is part of something moving within your body. No, it's not part of. That qi movement is your movement. If the qi movement is stuck, then we are not fully alive. So, Master Rinzai here is saying, from your lump of your red flesh, there is a true person without rank. No discrimination. no WASP, no black, no Hispanic, no Asians. Without rank. The true person, you may call it chi, without entity, but vivid movement is always going out and coming in. If by chance you have not yet testified to this, look, taste, taste. And then a monk came forward and asked, what about a true person without an rank? The master got down from seat, immediately grabbed him and said, hey! This is a very important part. This action, immediate, accurate, punctual. And without this, there is no Rinzai Zen. Just look behind you. Yours. One sutra book here, one sutra book is there, one sutra book is there, one sutra book is all disorganized. Neat. External neat reflect your internal neatness. Punctuality, on time, and each time Jisha make announcement. Today he said, traditionally, don't talk. And I hear lots of unnecessary conversations. This is called sloppiness. And if that is the case, our chi stuck. Our concentration cannot be deepened. Only extremely important things you may talk. See, in Zen practice, it's not only sitting. You should be responsible your surroundings, which helps you to sit, which helps your chi movement moves. And which wakes you up, not only from sleepiness, but sleepiness from ever since you are born. And I must say, we are not young anymore. none of us would like to pass away not knowing, not realizing this great matter which is known as then attending a session is a good example. First 3 days is terrible. Always it's a hell. Pain, sleepiness, attachment to the city life, etc., etc. But from fourth day, wow, this is quite different. Fifth day, our hara starts to breathe. And once or twice a day, you experience what is known as samadhi. One sitting is gone 2 minutes. Did we sit 45 minutes or 15 minutes? Didn't Jesus has correct watch. So many of us can go into that kind of state of mind, even if one cannot chant, memorize the Emmejuku Kannonjo. It is possible to enter that state of mind. Some kind of resistance you may have. But once we know that samadhi, then that's the beginning of facing true person without a rank. In other words, true nature of yourself, which doesn't mean that true nature as such is residing your very being. True nature of your being is the sound of a bird, sound of the wind, the fragrance of the flower, taste of the food. So when we do this, then what happens is next. We can overcome the struggle between pride and complex. And I'm sure all of you, as in one way or another, pride and complex are struggling. Especially those of you who have PhDs. Because you spend lots of time to get that degree, so you overuse your brain and got doctor. Pride. And yet, certain complex, personally, whatever. This, the higher degree one has, but like Einstein is a natural PhD. He doesn't need a PhD degree as such. But those of you who has obtained naturally pride. Right? Yes? Sure. Yes. Yeah, it's, you're honest. And yet, in reality, there is some kind of complex also, yes? So do you have a struggle? No? Yes?
Yes.
Very good. All yes. Pride, yes. Complex, yes. Struggle, yes. This is what is known suffering. So we are here. How to overcome? It cannot be done in one day, cannot be done in one session, cannot be done one lifetime perhaps. But if you think the life is beginningless and endless, or to say this way, if all the things are disintegrated, okay, all the things with eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and consciousness, and so on, are all disintegrated. Where will they are going? Where are they going? There's no place to go, but, right? When this is disintegrated, where will that go? When that is disintegrated, where will it go? This is called endless. Life is exactly like that. So this what we live in 21st century, and by chance we met in New York City, and by chance, precious chance, we sat together. This is really something. It's really something. And of course, to be kind to the others. I know someone who constantly buy the espresso for me and espresso for someone who has nothing to do with this Zazenkai. That the individual is doing something good, and accumulation of good deed is certainly great, and that is still slightly different from boom, boom, boom. So because of your religious background, some of you may not believe previous life or future life, but I'm convinced that we are together in Shakyamuni Buddha's time, even before that. Most likely in China, most likely in Japan, and we sat together. We sat together. And many times this Keisaku is sare together, again sitting together, shouting the mood together, and getting rid of all these crazy ideas. Now we are meeting in this way. And I said, we are meeting in this way, which means in English, if I understand it correctly, each one of us are together at this Zazen meeting. But what I mean is slightly different. We are meeting in this way means, for example, myself is one of the separated individuality. And that seemingly separated individuality is trying to sit with and go into samadhi, and the war between this self and the others becoming thinner and thinner, lower and lower. And I meet myself. This is called encounter, true encounter. Like likes and dislikes, love and hate come from the thickness and height of the wall, from self and other, right? If you like someone, particular person, then for between you and her, or you and him, the wall is so thin and height is practically nothing. But if you hate someone, the thick is so thick, height is enormous. I'm not talking about Mexico. I'm talking about our session, how great this practice is. So now I repeat, getting back. We are meeting here means each one of you are meeting your own true self. And victim mentality. Each one of us has a victim mentality. So if things doesn't go well, so if your mood is for Zazen practice doesn't go well, suppose, if that is the case, we have to blame someone, right? I'm a victim because of him, because of her. This is called victim mentality. And victim mentality makes thick wall, higher wall. That's not what the new practice is. So today, Toksan came down as a Toksan, great Toksan came down before Tendo-san struck the gong. He just thought maybe he was hungry, maybe he couldn't hear, Why he was getting to become a bit Alzheimer, I have no way of knowing. He came down with jihad ball for Tenzo dining room. And Tenzo scolded him and saying, hey, but he didn't say hey, but bell, knocking around. Where are you going? For this, Tokusan, not apologetic, not saying that I'm the master, about of the master, you are merely a Tenzo student. As if he was saying, it's so, this is, if there is any goal, if this is the goal of our practice, the rest of the story is not as important as Tokusan Mao went back to his school. Maturity, mature, this is what our aim someday. So until that time, we continue. Right.